Greetings, YouTube. My wife and I got a chance to see the Justice League Throne of Atlantis animated film recently. And I had never seen this, but I was kind of looking forward to an earlier edition or rendition or version of introducing the character of Aquaman to the Justice League. Because he was being introduced very much as a team player, not being introduced as a solo character. He was being introduced right in to the Justice League itself. And in the world that they're presenting us in this story, the Justice League is a league only in name only. It has a headquarters, but not even all of the members even know their headquarters exists, let alone where it is. And they're not a team. So the idea of this narrative structure is that the adventures centered around Aquaman will bring the team together and form them into a functioning unit. And I believe Nathan Fillion does Green Lantern. And goddess, I love that guy's voice. He got a great voice. And this is kind of the version of Cyborg that I find the most visually appealing. I like this look of the character of Cyborg. The one that they're using for the movie is not really to my liking. I don't like that, and he's like powered by a mother box or something. I'm just like, nah, that's not my jam, if I may borrow a term from an earlier age. But the story comes out essentially as we've got a power grab going on in Atlantis. We have the queen in charge, her husband's gone, her son would like to rise to the throne, and he has an advisor who is a human mantis, or black mantis, and interestingly is actually a black person. And I believe in the comics, at least in the version of the information I have in the Black Mantis, most readily available to me in my own home and not on the internet, is from the DC Adventures folio of heroes and villains. And he was originally actually supposed to be an autistic person that eventually had the brain structures that were making him differ from neurotypical people corrected, and he actually got some powers. But initially he just had a cool suit, and he had a sub, and he was a sea pirate. He was just a pirate. That's all he was. And eventually he becomes Aquaman's most one of his most common villains that he faced, and a guy that repeatedly tries to take over Atlantis just to prove that he's the better underwater dude, I guess. But at the beginning of this film, Aquaman, Arthur, whose last name escapes me at the moment, doesn't actually know that he's a water-breathing Atlantean. He knows that he swims really well, he knows that he's stronger and tougher than your average person, but not really sure why, and he has never really delved into it, though I gotta tell you, I thought I had some above-the-norm abilities. I might want to figure out what they were. And in an opening bar scene, he gets into a fight where someone actually breaks a knife on him, and he goes, I always wondered what would happen. You can't tell me that in your entire life, as an adult, let alone as a kid, you didn't cut yourself and then not notice a wound. I got multiple stitches on my body, folks. I've had over 100 stitches in my day. Like 108, I think. So I have a hard time imagining anybody got to adulthood and didn't have an accident that would have cut them, and that when it didn't, they might have gone, I wonder why I'm not injured. That would have hurt your average person. Yeah, whatever. And when the son of the Queen of Atlantis finds out his mother wants to use Arthur as the bridge between the Atlanteans and the humans, him, Arthur, being a half-breed, he's not buying that. He doesn't want anything of that. So he murders his mother to get to the throne, decides to invade the surface and wipe out humanity, though his plan is so paper thin to call it a plan is an insult to the letter P. And of course, all this as time is going, the Justice League are getting involved because weird things are going on. They've stolen missiles from a sub, killing all the people on board. And then they have some heavy-duty combat and the hand-to-hand variety. You know, supervillains and superheroes all going at it against both Atlanteans and against trenchers, they call them. Essentially, they appear to be shark people. But they are actual shark people. They're sapient beings. You can make deals with them. You can cut bargains with them. They are not animals. They are people. They're just not human people. And every superhero universe that worth the name is full of people that aren't humans. And yet they're still people. But in this film, there is some nasty ass killing. And this is an animated film which is going to be handed to children. People are decapitated. They are cut in half. They are speared through their torsos. Bodies are everywhere. My wife's like, this is for kids? She had said that 3 times while we were watching this movie, and I had to agree with her. I'm like, this does not come across to me as a film appropriate for children unless the parent is right there. I found it to be more violent than some of the live-action superhero films I've seen that were like Avengers or Winter Soldier. I mean, it was when Cap kills people, and he does, they're off screen. He kicks a guy, you know he's dead, okay? But you don't see the guy die. And this, heads are being cut off. There's no hiding that stuff. This is traumatizing for a younger child. One of the things they did is that Wonder Woman and Superman are just under the water talking. Just hanging out at the bottom of the ocean in Atlantis, talking to each other. They don't breathe water. Cyborg explores a sub at the bottom of the Marianas Trench. Marianas Trench. He's just walking around this sub. Now, even if you could convince me the cybernetic systems, and he's almost all cybernetic systems in this version, he's got, like, part of his face is flesh, and the rest is all machine. Even if you could convince me that Star Labs came up with the cyborg body that could handle these pressures, okay? And this being a comic book world, you could convince me of that without too much effort. His skin is exposed. He would be ketchup. Okay, Green Lantern puts the glow on, can breathe underwater. I got no problem with that. But the Flash is a little breathing mask? Batman's got a little breathing mask at the bottom of the ocean? Yes, I know it's a superhero universe. But you have to have a baseline of sense, and that baseline of sense is ordinary things are still affected by physics. If you're making it complete and utter fantasy, then it's not a comic book world anymore. It's just fantasy. And you can say, a magic spell now grants you the ability to breathe underwater without being affected by pressure. But they don't do that. Those little things bug the crap out of my wife and I. And it's lazy writing. That's what it is. It's lazy writing. Now, there was the goofy version of Aquaman, which was like in the kids, kind of a kid version of the animated, and he was fun. I have some of those episodes as well, and he's fun. And again, because it's a goofier, kid-friendly kind of a situation, I'm opening up the tolerances. But this is super serious in this animated film. Again, decapitations. So I'm going to apply physics. So yeah, this was not a good film. The narrative structure was not awesome. It did kind of explain why he wears orange, because his father's outfit had an orange undersuit, a gambeson essentially, and he puts that on and doesn't wear the rest of it. He never actually gets to spend any real time with his mother. She's murdered. He gets to find a love interest. Well, I guess that's good. And he gets to become the king of Atlantis, though he's not really sure what that entails. And why do they speak English? I know the reason is because we, the audience, need to be able to understand them. But they even talk about the fact that in the film, that Wonder Woman recognizes the alien texts as being from the mythology of Atlantis. She knows it's real. She just doesn't know where it is. So why did they have weird text, and yet they're speaking conversational modern standard English? Again, sloppy, lazy writing. I know it's aimed at kids. Kids deserve better. Okay, I've ranted long enough. I don't recommend this film. It wasn't a great story. The plans to invade the surface were absurd. They marched like Earth troops, surface troops. Their invasion force was laughable. I mean, your average National Guard unit could have taken these guys out. What, you're gonna just roll in and take over the world with a single platoon or even a regiment of troops? Yeah, that's gonna work for you. It was dumb, and I didn't like it, and I'm disappointed. I wanted better. I can remember the Batman animated series. That was really good. And unfortunately, I don't have that. I need to get my hands on it. Because it was really good. With deep storylines. And great animation. And a whole lot less stupid.